Hello, my name is Taylor Lowe, and welcome to my presentation. Today we are focusing on issues in education, and the topic that I chose is LGBT student treatment and education within school. This is for TEL 111. LGBTQ students face a lot of issues both inside and outside of school. Many years ago, schools would ignore the issues LGBT students faced, often saying everything is okay, and very little data was actually kept of issues students faced in school during that time. There is a lot of history for LGBT that has still been kept, but school wise, there was not very much data. All of these issues seem to have been swept under the rug. In most areas, this has changed. LGBT issues are being talked about in schools a lot more frequently, which for LGBTQ students in particular, it can mean feeling safer at school, hearing homophobic and transphobic remarks less frequently, according to the GLSEN research. Not all areas are this way, with certain areas banning the talk of any LGBT related topics in school, which include Florida and Texas being two of the biggest areas. Discrimination in the school halls history. In 1977, Anita Bryant founded our Save Our Children, which focused on allowing LGBTQ teachers to be protected, thus beginning the conversation of if LGBTQ issues should even be discussed at all in the school in front of students. In 2001, Human Rights Watch published Hatred in the Hallways, Violence and Discrimination. The report showed that extreme bullying and discrimination LGBTQ students still face in school. In a survey of more than 10,000 youth conducted back in 2012, a lack of family and peer acceptance was a primary concern for the youth, identified as the most important problem in their lives. Due in part to rejection by family and peers, the youth have disproportionately high rates of homelessness, physical and mental health concerns, as well as suicidality. 55.5 of LGBT students felt unsafe at school because of their sexual orientation and 37.8 because of their gender expression. 30.3 of LGBT students missed at least one entire day of school in the past month because they felt unsafe or uncomfortable, and over a tenth missed 4 or more days in the past month. Over a third avoided gender-segregated spaces in school because they felt unsafe or uncomfortable. Most reported avoiding school functions and extracurricular activities because they felt unsafe or uncomfortable. Alabama state law emphasizes in a factual manner and from a public health perspective that homosexuality is not a lifestyle acceptable to the general public and that homosexual conduct is a criminal offense under the laws of the state. Texas state law says that materials and education programs intended for people under the age of 18 must state that homosexual conduct is not an acceptable lifestyle and can be a criminal offense. Utah state law prohibits public schools from using materials for community and personal health, psychology, personal hygiene, and prevention of communicable diseases, and that includes intercourse, sexual stimulation, erotic behavior, or the advocacy of homosexuality, or the advocacy of sexual activity outside of marriage. Not all states are this way because, in fact, California, New Jersey, Colorado, and Illinois require LGBTQ history to be taught in school and offer more resources to their students. Those who are against these topics, many states have banned the talk of the LGBT issues in school or are working towards that, such as Florida, Texas, and Tennessee. Florida governor has been quoted saying that teaching kids that they can be whatever they want is inappropriate for children. It's not something inappropriate for any place, but especially not in Florida. Many are also found saying that homosexuality is unnatural and harmful. The Ramsey Colloquium argues that homosexuality leads to the breakdown of family and ultimately of human society, alarming rates of sexual promiscuity, depression, and suicide, and the ominous presence of AIDS within the homosexual subculture. There is also an argument that parents should be the one to discuss these issues with their children at home. From the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, parents have prior right to choose the kind of education that shall be given to their children, and those parents do not wish their children to learn about homosexuality at school would be having this right infringed upon. Research shows that LGBTQ students with many supportive educators feel safer at school, skip fewer classes, and earn higher grades than students without these supportive educators or environments. Students who are part of the LGBTQ community face higher rates of depression, suicide, self harm, and fall behind in school more. Giving more support to these students and allowing the issues they face to be discussed will cause these statistics to go down, and students will become healthier and more successful. Personal perspective. We as educators need to do better about teaching LGBT issues and history in schools, as well as make sure the students are being treated with kindness. Fewer than half of LGBT students reported feeling safe at school. LGBT students were twice or more likely to report that they had experienced bullying or harassment and were in fear of physical violence. LGBTQ students were more likely to experience chronic sadness and to consider suicide. As someone who is a part of the LGBTQ community myself, who has dealt with all of this growing up, seeing these statistics still as high break my heart. We cannot allow the LGBTQ community to be silenced in school, and we need to do better for our students. And then this is just my references. All right, thank you so much.